what is on your mind entering Week 3 in the NFL? What do you think is the main storyline for the first 2 weeks and going into the end of September here for the NFL?
I loved hearing everything we just heard from Matt Rule, by the way. Well, first off, what's on my mind, the Panthers could look up by Week 12, Week 13, and be 10-2. Let's make no mistake about that, and I just want to put that on the record for the whole world to hear, because the Panthers have a very favorable schedule. I think the biggest game to watch this week, Chicago Bears, Cleveland Browns, because that has a huge shakeup on the trajectory of two teams. Chicago Bears, if Justin Fields goes out there and balls, Andy Dalton ain't getting his job back. Matt Nagy, I hear you, I've heard you, I've talked to players and coaches who have met with you, but it will be impossible to give Fields to give Andy Dalton the position back. Then on the flip side, Rich, Baker Mayfield, man, come on, Baker. Like you have to be the reason your team wins. I've said this, Rich. The Browns don't lose because of Baker, but they don't win because of him either. And it's just time for Baker to really show up. Obviously, the low-hanging fruit, the Rams and the Buccaneers, we all know what's at stake in that game, at least from a perception purpose. But I'm looking at some of the storylines nobody else is talking about.
Okay, so let's pull on a couple of threads you just left hanging out there, Emmanuel Acho. First thing, what do you mean you speak to people at the Bears and they're saying what? What are they saying about why Fields hasn't been out there? I mean, is it really a promise that Matt Nagy gave to Andy Dalton when they signed him before drafting someone, you're our guy, and he just wants to be a man of his word to a guy who just joined the team? Is that really what's happening in Chicago?
Well, I think here's what's happening. Mark Sanchez came on our show, Speak for Yourself, 2 days ago, and Mark Sanchez, obviously former Jets top 5 pick, he called the Bears game, and he talked to Matt Nagy, he said, before the Bears game, in which he called and broadcast on Fox last week, and Matt Nagy said this. He said, I was there when Patrick Mahomes sat behind Alex Smith. And seeing Patrick Mahomes sit behind Alex Smith is what allowed Patrick Mahomes to project. It helped Patrick Mahomes project into the career he ended up having. So Matt Nagy wants to duplicate that. And that's what kind of he told to Mark. Here's the only problem, Rich. Andy Dalton is not Alex Smith, and Justin Fields will be hard-pressed to become Patrick Mahomes. So while in theory, Matt Nagy, I understand where you are coming from, I do not think those situations are analogous.
Yeah, I know. He told that to us when he came on the show a week after drafting Fields. And I told him I don't think he was going to have the room to play Dalton the entire year. I mean, I saw that one leaving the station a week after drafting Justin Fields, and he kind of chuckled and said, maybe not. And, well, here's the maybe not. And, you know, the only reason I brought up the Andy Dalton thing is I was driving home from playing poker with my buddies last night, and I heard Jay Glazer on the radio, my buddy Glaze, saying that it really is a promise he gave Dalton. And so I'm hearing all sorts of stuff out there. And I think Fields is going to be the starter the rest of the season. I don't think they could put him back on the sideline. And if he craps out for a couple of games and looks so terrible, and it's just like Dalton, we're going to go back as soon as he's the guy, then I'm genuinely concerned. I'm genuinely concerned for his development this year, to say the least. Emmanuel.
Here's what I know, Rich. I know this much. You would not give up on a toddler having the ability to walk or run after the first time they fall at 11 months old or at 13 months old.
Right.
Because it takes the toddler time to walk, and eventually begin to run. So the worst thing that could happen for the Chicago Bears is to pull Justin Fields after he struggles. Justin Fields will grow exponentially. Yes. Andy Dalton will grow incrementally. Trust the quarterback that's going to grow exponentially.
Emmanuel Acho here on the Rich Eisen Show. And then, you mentioned how you think that the Browns don't lose because of Baker, but they don't win because of him either. I mean, look, if they could just run the ball down people's throats, play some good defense that we really haven't seen from them the first couple of weeks. I mean, Davis Mills came in without Tyrod Taylor and was winging it around against a Browns team that couldn't put the Texans away. They need to take their foot and put it somewhere where the sun doesn't shine and break it off on somebody and prove that they're an elite team in the NFL, quite frankly, Emmanuel. And I'm just wondering if this could be the week this week for the Browns.
Here's the thing. This could be the week if Baker will be the quarterback. Let's make no mistake about it, Rich. Look at the NFL, and for all your NFL listeners, really dive in for a second. Tom Brady, the Buccaneers won Week 1 because of him. Patrick Mahomes, they beat the Cleveland Browns because of him. Lamar Jackson, they beat the Kansas City Chiefs because of him. Russell Wilson, They beat the Colts week 1 because of him. Aaron Rodgers, they beat the Lions most recently because of him. I'm waiting for the quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield and Dak Prescott to step on the football field and say, no, the Cowboys won because of me. Not because of my running game, not because of my defense and some interceptions, but if you are a top 10 quarterback, then you are going to have a because of me moment. And I'm just waiting to see that because of me moment from Baker.
Well, I guess the Titans are a team where they win because of the running back. But so would your point be that Tannehill's not a top 10 guy and the Titans can't win at all? I mean, is that what you're essentially saying there?
I think there's a little misconception there. If you actually look at Ryan Tannehill, since he took over as the starter, I want to say halfway point of 2019, he's actually top 10 in every statistical category. Whether it's touchdown passes, whether it's total touchdowns, whether it's touchdown interception ratio, Derrick Henry has a boatload of yards. But make no mistake, Ryan Tannehill has put the team on his back in a couple of games. So there's a huge Ryan Tannehill to me is probably the most underrated quarterback in the National Football League. I don't have the time, nor do I have my researcher on board to prove that at this juncture in time. But Rich, I promise you, the next time you hear me on your show, I am making the case for Ryan Tannehill.
Very good. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.